agenda. The president of the board may limit the time for individual persons' presentations and may limit the total time for all presentations. Citizens wishing to comment will be limited to one opportunity to speak. If a citizens group wishes to speak on the same subject, the group should choose a representative to deliver the message. The chairperson may set a limit for organized group presentations and may set limits for each side when many persons request to speak on the agenda item. During remote video conferencing meetings, the chair will query attendees present by computer or telephone for those who wish to speak. The chair will also read into the record any public comments submitted via email or voicemail message by the deadline stated in the public notice.
Thank you very much, Dr. Selberg. I had no emails or messages at 7 a.m. And once again, Ms. Curley, did you?
I did not.
None. Okay. I'm wondering, rather than going through this list of attendees and panelists, if I understand this correctly, the people that are attendees don't have a microphone yet?
That is correct. We would have to turn it on from them. If they would like to speak, they can use the raise the hand button.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure they know, and they can do that. So looking at the lists of panelists or attendees, if anyone likes to speak, would like to speak, would you raise your hand? I don't see a lot of reason to call these names out loud and make people feel funny. I'm looking at them. They all appear to be people that we recognize their names of. If I'm missing someone and you are listening to this or watching it and want to speak and feel you're overlooked, how about just jotting me an email real quickly and I'll rush back to you, because we can return to this for the 3-minute deadline. So it's jbear@mohave.edu. And seeing no hands, once again, last one. I'm looking one more time. Amy, do you see any? I don't see any.
I do not see any
Okay.
raised hands.
Good. I just want to make sure we stick within the guidelines. All right, let's go on to item 6, staff council report. Ms. Knox.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can see you too.
Good morning.
Yeah, good
Well,
morning.
no, good afternoon now. I'm sorry. I'm used to our normal board times.
I see Jane.
Madam President, Board, Dr. Klippenstein, it's a lovely afternoon, I guess. We did have our last staff council meeting was actually last Thursday. We were able to elect our new president, vice president, and secretary positions for the upcoming academic year. So they will all start as of September 1st is when they will start. Amber Johnson, who is, no, she's not an academic advisor anymore. My apologies. I'm used to her old position. She is now within the nursing department. Yes. So Amber is our new president. So we're all very excited to have her lead us. Mandy Trowbridge, who is in the foundation, is going to be our vice president, and Chuck Dilry from Bullhead campus is going to be secretary. Like I said, that'll all start September 1st. So I will be here for a couple more months, I guess, depending on how things work. And then we didn't have very much to discuss. There wasn't too much going on. We've noticed that with everyone working from home, it seems like we're not getting as many questions or comments or concerns coming to the council. So we had an idea to create just kind of an informal Zoom luncheon meeting that we'll be hosting in the next couple of weeks. I believe it's June 3rd. And we will just have an open Zoom meeting and, you know, let people come in and out and just talk to the council, talk to each other, and in hopes to kind of people back together. We've noticed that, yes, there is quite a bit of communication going on within our own departments, but we're not able to really communicate with people across campus in other departments like we usually do. So we really wanted to kind of bring people back together and allow them to see each other and talk to each other. So that's kind of our hopes, is to kind of build that morale again. Is there any questions or comments?
You've done a remarkable job and have certainly been thorough each month, and we enjoy hearing from you. Have you enjoyed doing this?
Thank you so much.
Do you-
I've greatly enjoyed it. I'm a little sad to be passing it on, but I'm happy about it as well. I know Amber will do a great job.
All right. Well, thank you for your service. All right. Tanya Baxley, our new faculty council president.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tanya Baxley. I just thought I would come today to introduce myself. My reign as president started today. The Faculty Association, we met this morning at 10:30. There are lots of questions and excitement about getting back on campus. Everybody, we miss our students very much. So that was the bulk of our meeting, was how to safely get back on campus and manage everything. We're discussing the master core shells and just hoping to continue to improve. We're excited for fall, excited for students.
That's great, Tanya. Congratulations. And what size shoes do you wear?
Not quite as tiny as Andra, about a 6.5.
Usually we say you have big shoes to fill, but in this case, I guess it's the other size. You have some small shoes to fill, but you did a wonderful big job. So congratulations to you. And again, thank you for sure for Dr. Goldberg's years and years of service.
Thank you. She's still on our board. I'm President Candace Hofstetter of the business department as our vice president, and Miss Andra, thank heavens, agreed to be secretary so she can shepherd me along.
That sounds like a wonderful model for you. Thank you. Before we continue, Ms. Curley, I've heard from Susan McAlpine, and she said she's there and she's not sure why we cannot hear her. I forwarded that to you also. Is there a way we can see what Susan needs to do? Or Miss Amy, can you hear me?
I'm phone now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Awesome.
Yeah.
You had me on mute. Okay, I've been here since the very beginning, so you can just fix some minutes.
Great. So you see where that
Please.
unmute button, that's for you to unmute, and you did that. And the video, are you familiar with that button next to the mute button?
No, I'm on the telephone, so all I have is my own mute button. So I'm gonna. I was muted from your end, it appears.
Ah, okay.
So anyhow, no problem. Now I can hear, and I'll mute myself again till you need me.
Sounds good. All right, item 8, board report. The CEO designation resolution is in Appendix 2. And
Are you going to show us those appendices, Amy? Because it just occurred to me that I can't get to them.
you can't get,
Oh, I can't
think
scroll
Erica's-
this.
Okay, Erica, do you have that? It's right underneath there in the agenda. It was in the agenda, Judy, under board report. Do you have the board?
Right, but I can't scroll Amy's screen.
Yeah, it should be up now.
Okay, I got you. Go
Yeah,
ahead. There it is
okay,
up.
good, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Each county, city, town, and community college district to annually provide to the Auditor General by July 31 the name of the CFO. The governing body has designated to officially submit the current year's annual budgeted expenditure limitation report. Albor. Sonny will tell us that one. On the governing board's behalf. The current year is the fiscal year the entity is operating in on July 31. So we have a motion. Can you see that on the screen or back on your agenda? It would be. Okay, anybody
That
You want the motion?
Yep.
Yes, Vance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to designate Sonny Marbury as the Chief Physical Officer for the purpose of submitting the college annual budgeted expenditure limitation report.
Ms. Pascal, did I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, any conversation about that? Discussion? Sonny will be the CFO for the coming fiscal year, and we appreciate her service, and we appreciate Vance and Ashley jumping in on that one. Thanks. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good, 5-0. Item B, Office of the Executive Vice President Policy Revision. And that is right up there on the screen. It's currently written. You can read that. I believe if there's anybody, oh, she's screen sharing. There she is. Thank you, Erica. There's the policy change recommendation. The current policy is above, and below it is the new one.
Madam Chair, this is
Yes,
Stacy,
please,
and I
Stacy,
just
yes.
wanted to add in, and I apologize to Ashley and Judy that this was not on part of the information that was shared with them during the one-on-one on Monday. I did send them an email so they had a little bit more of a background. As I mentioned during the other one-on-ones, the idea was when we were looking at policy 5.015, which is on communication structure, we were taking a look at kind of committee structure, communication plans, especially with the strategic plan, and came across the executive vice president. This specific policy was really specific and related to its duties. As I look at in the future of this position, it would not fulfill any of these or very little of these type of duties. So I wanted to make sure that the policy was a little bit was cleaned up, as well as broad enough that allowed for leadership and management structure to be placed in by the president through who he or she could delegate certain responsibilities to a leadership or management team. That was the intent.
It's fine. Great intent and great clearly written policy. This is the first reading only, and as you know, we will be looking at it again in June. If you have any comments or questions about it, make sure you bring them to Dr. Klippenstein's attention sometime in the next 25 days. Thank you very much for providing that, Stacy.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
I understand this is a first reading, but I would like to just voice my question or maybe
Sure.
request for clarification. And I understand if it's not able to be addressed right now.
Okay.
I just wanted, when referring back to the policies, I was wondering if you could help clarify the difference in, and I don't have the number. Okay, here it is. It's 5.025, which really gives the president the authority to hire all personnel and make decisions on the organizational pieces. So I'm just not sure. I understand possibly removing the specific policy regarding the vice president position, but I'm not sure I understand the replacement.
So you're referring to 5.025, which isn't included right here in that page. Is that correct? Because I don't have the whole policy book up and I'm not going to grab it now, but that's your question now, 5.025, and we're looking at 5.050. And once again, please, Erica, if you could put the one up that we had up, the other appendices. I've got it here. Okay. So I'd have to look at 5.025, and I won't pull it up now, and the rest of you are welcome to, but we can certainly make sure that your question is addressed by Stacy, and the rest of us will also review it. So before second reading, we will also be able to offer any input on that.
Yes,
So,
Madam Chair, and
yes.
Trustee Ashley
Please.
would be happy to take a look at 5.025 and just kind of cross-reference our
Sure.
wording in both, just to see, to make sure our intent is either separate, and if it is similar, then we can take a look at what to do with 5.050.
Gotcha.
So thank you.
Thank you. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, Ashley. Probably, let's say 2 to 3 years ago, when Miss Miller was chair, I want to say we started it earlier and then we continued. We would go through a section of the policy book each month,
Right.
kind of as a learning extension. And it's been several years, and unless I have question, I don't ever go back to it frequently. So I'm glad that you did take time to do that. Thank you. All right. So now let me get back to my agenda. Thank you, Erica, for doing that. Miss McAlpine, I'm glad we can hear you because we're now on item C. And that was
See, and I made it
conference.
just in time.
You did.
I have heard absolutely nothing from AACCT, not an email, not a phone call, not a carrier pigeon, not even an owl. So I have no report from AACCT. However, we have received, and Amy was gracious enough to forward it to me, the preliminary flyer for the ACCT Leadership Congress which will be September 30th to October 3rd in the Hyatt Regency in Chicago. The registration's open. The early bird deadline is Friday, July 24th, 2020. And one of the things that I thought was interesting and maybe very appropriate for our staff or faculty is they had a call for presentations. And one of the categories in the presentation was dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and the lessons that we've learned. So I think Amy has attached that and probably has copies of that physically today if anybody's in her vicinity. If not, they can be taken off the AACT website, and it's www.call-presentations-1. And that's my entire report.
Well, thank you for that, Susan, and for that guidance in looking at the ACCT website. Dr. Klippenstein, if you find as we get closer to that time, or we certainly wouldn't want to wait too late, if you feel that you would like to put together a presentation, I know you and your staff have done a stellar job pulling together this plan and working, and maybe how that would transition into future plans and emergency setups. If you think that's in your wheelhouse, don't hesitate to make us proud.
Yep.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
And I think that would be entirely appropriate at this point.
Yeah, somebody step right up, and that would be Stacy. That'd be wonderful. And the rest of us, if you're have an intent to go to Chicago, my understanding is if you register and the thing does not take place, we have a full refund. There's no chargeback. Is that your understanding, Amy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you'd like to let Miss Curley know, I'm sorry, before the early bird date, that would be better than enrolling as a late owl, but Chicago, September 30 through October 3, and take a look at it and let her know, okay? Is that your hope, Amy, that it goes that way?
Yes, if you think that you are
on the right track there. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thanks. All right. And Susan, thank you for keeping us up to date with that and with the fact that nothing's going on within the state of Arizona with our.
You're welcome. And the other thing that we probably need to make notice is when I read the request for proposals, it does say at least one trustee needs to be involved.
Right. That's always the case because it's supposed to be the way it works. That would be good. So if Stacy goes forward and someone wants to join him, or whoever's going to the Congress decides, I know I kind of hope to go. I thought this would be a good one to go to. And I'm hoping that it'll open up and stay. And if anybody else is going, let Amy know. All right. Other reports. Ms. Ashley, anything from you, Ms. No? Dr. Shelper? Nope. Anything from you? No. Mr. Miller?
No, ma'am.
All right, and I have nothing either. Thank you. President's report, Dr. Klippenstein.
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. First of all, I want to say happy graduation day. There's a reason why I'm wearing my red jacket today, is because it is a special day, even though we're not all together and not with our students where we should be. But we are doing the best that we can to make sure we celebrate our students today. And so again, at 3 o'clock, here shortly, the Mohave Minute will kind of do a little mini recap of what's going to happen today at 3 o'clock. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that MPIO and many others have done to help this special day. I also want to recognize that we've done some red lights on some of the college campuses in celebration of our graduates. So if you had a chance in Bullhead, I got pictures last night sent from Carolyn Hamlin in regards to some red lights that were on the facilities there at the Bullhead campus, and again, in honor of our graduates. And so anyways, I just want to say congratulations to all the 2020 graduates. And Also, if you have a chance or had a chance following on Facebook, there was a lot of posts this past week on celebrating our students who have achieved so well and have been recognized with various different awards. Also, over the past week or so, our deans have worked with our students and provided student recognition. Even though we didn't have on-site ceremonies, we were able to provide information, letters, certificates and so forth to various different students through the mail with some special notes and cards. And a lot of people stepped up to really recognize many of our students on each college campus. So thanks to our deans for doing that. I also want to say thanks to Megan for all of her hard work with the staff council. I had a good visit with her yesterday. And I'm excited to have Amber and Mandy and Chuck still continue on to participate, but to begin to work with Amber from the staff council perspective. And then also yesterday was my first real meeting with Tanya to talk about faculty council. And I do want to appreciate Tanya stepping up and in that role, and Andrea still continuing on in her new role, as well as Candace Hofstetter with her role as a vice president. So thanks to everybody who has stepped up over the last so many weeks and months, and we'll be stepping up even more here this upcoming academic year, participating in advisory councils and so forth. So thanks to everybody there. We do have a few items here under President's Report. Most are updates to provide you both on the where we're at with our public health crisis review and our pandemic response and our phase 1 approach and phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. We'll have a presentation by Dr. Gilbert and Danette Bristol. Also wanted both Laurel and Sean to provide an update on where we're at the strategic plan for first reading purposes. And then we will get into some other information items from both the state legislature and JLBC items I wanted to update you on, and AC4. But before we begin, I want to pass this over to, maybe it's Erica, in posting the quick Mohave Minute video, and then we'll go from there. So I'll pass it off.
Thank you.
In this special edition of the Mohave Minutes, we're previewing the 2020 MCC Graduates Recognition Ceremony. It premieres today at 3 p.m. on the college Facebook and YouTube channels, and is the first of 3 planned events to honor 2020 graduates and their families for all the hard work they put in to reach this historic point in their lives. Throughout the recognition ceremony, you'll see pictures of graduates during their time at MCC. You'll also hear from the college president.
And it is my pleasure to welcome you to this recognition event for the 49th graduating class of Mohave Community College.
And you'll hear from the president of the MCC board, Dr. Julie Bear.
Best wishes to each of you in the coming years, and thank you for choosing Mohave Community College.
The class of 2020 student speaker, Erica Heestand.
While we've achieved so much, we have so much more to do. So be bold, follow your heart, and remain strong through it all.
And you'll see messages from 3 special guests.
As the mayor of Bullhead City, I personally wish to congratulate each and every one of you 2020 Mohave Community College graduates.
Hi, this is Mayor Jen Miles. The City of Kingman congratulates all the MCC graduates.
Greetings, Mohave Community College graduates. This is Mayor Cal Sheehy from Lake Havasu City. We are so proud of your accomplishments.
Today, you'll also see all of the names of our graduates on your screen, and stick around until the end for a special video presentation with pictures submitted by the class of 2020. Congratulations, graduates. We'll see you today at 3.
So that was a nice overview provided by MPIO. And again, thanks to the crew there for all their work behind the scenes. And obviously, thanks to Dr. Bear for spending the time, as well as preparing a nice welcome. And thank you for that. And we'll hear more from her later at 3 o'clock. And this isn't the only time we're recognizing our students. We do plan, again, once we're all together, or can be all together, to do some celebrations on each of the college campuses, as well as inviting our current graduates this year to the ceremony in 2021. So we want to continue to recognize them and allow them to come across stage. They deserve it, right? So let's make sure we can do that for them. So thank you very much for that, MPIO, and to James. We will
Dr.
move.
Stacy, before you go on,
Yep.
I thought it was remarkable to have the 3 mayors. That was really nice. And I'd also like to commend James for throughout the last several weeks, there's been so much on public social media. And those stories, those student stories have just been really interesting to read, a few at a time. So that was an unusually strong post that he had recently, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was nice. It was nice to have the announcement of Jennifer James Gomez as the Hodel winner, and a few of our others with Erica Heastand as our student speaker. There's just some great stories of our graduates. So again, I do appreciate MPIO. Moving forward now to the Public Health Crisis Review and Response. Again, we've had continued dialogue on the college campus, and our pandemic response group has been meeting along with the cabinet group and just addressing which direction do we go with the phase 1 through a phase 4 approach. We're trying to come back to campus kind of in a way reopen. When I say reopen, I'm saying quotes, because we've always been open in some ways, but physically we might not have been as open. But now trying to move forward, and I am happy with what the group has been able to bring forward. We started yesterday afternoon, and we'll work on Monday and Tuesday doing some open Zoom sessions with all faculty and staff to be able to provide additional information, answer many questions that are coming up just about how do we truly come back, what does it look like, what are our regulations we're putting in place to make sure, again, we're providing a safe environment while still, as we have done at the very beginning, trying to follow what we can with the best advice from CDC and OSHA. Of course, those seem to change, and we will continue to monitor those, especially for recommendations for colleges and universities. There is some new information out there on K through 12, but again, that's a little bit different structure than colleges and universities. So we will continue to monitor those issues as they come up and adapt the phases. But what I wanted to do is I asked Danette and Dr. Gilbert to provide. They're both the main leaders over the pandemic response group, have been working behind the scenes to set up these approaches along with various members of the cabinet. I could not be more proud of the work that they've done, as well as the faculty behind the scenes, and even some of the work that they're looking at for fall semester to prepare for the what if. So if we do plan to be open, or if something happens and we need to not be open, what are some new ways we can still provide the best instruction for our students as possible. So I know that they've been working pretty well behind the scenes. So I will pass this off to Dr. Gilbert to begin, and we will go from there and then allow for questions and answers and any of the other cabinet group to be able to share items from their end. So there we go.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Fred.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I'll start off with the first slide, which will be just going over the current the current status of what's going on right now, which is that MCC is providing all services to students remotely while staffing and doing telecommunication campuses and locations are closed. College operations are continuous and ongoing during this process. Summer classes are being offered, in an online format. And now I'll go into phase 1, which talks about the various phases we have 1 through 4. So next slide. And up at the top right, you'll see the mask that we have ordered that will be coming, that we will be making available to students, faculty, and staff at no cost. It's a cloth mask that can be washed and reused. First, I'll start with students. So students classes remain online for students, and they'll be able to learn remotely. CTE and allied health labs will be, of course, on campuses. And some people have asked, it also includes EMS and those kinds of programs as well. Lab appointments to begin on May 26th. And those are appointments that are made by faculty with the students to be able to make makeups. There's a limited number of 5, or not to exceed 5, I guess a better way of saying it. And social distance will be maintained, 6 feet spaces between each workstation for labs that will be made during that period of time. Instructors and students will wear a mask, cloth masks, and as I showed you once up at the top, over the mouth and nose while on class. Employees, up at the top right-hand corner, employees will be returning to class, and they'll be essentially operation will continue as ongoing classes will be. For facility workers will be there, CTE instructors will be there, and they will be maintaining the lab hours, as they've arranged with students, and the allied health instructors will be doing labs as well. The staff, will be wearing the cloth face mask covering their mouth and face, and then college will remain activities online in the format that we currently have, and we are not allowing any events to take place during that period of time. I also want to talk about the mask that James has put online, the fact that CDC has other requirements or standards that can be met to meet the mask requirements that students can wear, like they can wear a bandana, they can wear other types of things like that. If the student or staff wears that, then that's sufficient, and we're going to follow CDC guides. We're not going to change or enhance that. Phase 2, slide please, would be the next phase, where that would be for students. There we go. The courses will be online. Of course, summer labs will begin on June 22nd. There will be physical distance being maintained of 6 feet, and there could be a capacity limit of 10, and there will be the cloth face masks or so we expect to be worn. Employees will, at that point, be reducing their hours. They won't be having as many people on campus. We won't be having a full staff. It'll be determined by different departments, so it'll be different per department. Limited on campuses, operations will be maintained remotely. Student services, for example, would have one person staff there to handle the front desk area, but all areas in the library and those kind of things will be done. Remote services will be provided. So we'll be doing, like I said, a very minimal, limited amount of staff, but we will be open in a different and a more advanced capacity, and it will still be expecting people to wear cloth face masks. Vulnerable populations will be, as defined by the CDC, I might add, will be able to work and study remotely, and campus locations will be closed. So I should state that a little clearer. Campus locations will close buildings for deep cleaning and disinfectants. But I want people to understand that that's in the event that there's a surge of more virus, because as you know, this process is changing. So they will be doing that in the meantime. And that's one of the reasons why we need to be also pointing out that the whole college itself would not be open. It'll be specific buildings. And then phase 3 is the net.
So we will continue assessing the situation as we progress through the summer in phase 2. In the fall, assuming all things align, we will resume on-campus classes in various formats. We are planning for responses to any change in the situation of the number of cases mounting, or if there's a resurgence. Physical distancing and face coverings will be required through the fall until the containment phase has been met. We will resume some campus student services and library services that will be with limited numbers of people, probably rotating staff and moving workstations apart. And then we will continue remote access to services for the people who cannot come to campus because they're a vulnerable population, or to allow people who actually become ill to continue their work if they're able. Next. And then phase 4 is when MCC will resume our new normal, whatever that is, operations on all locations, and people can freely go back to campus and work on campus and attend classes on campus. So we will look forward to that. And that will come when containment is complete and a virus or a vaccine is produced that is accessible to us. And that's the end of that phase. I think Stephen wanted to talk about the instructional innovative things people are doing that we're talking about for phase 3.
Before we hear from Stephen, thank you so much, Fred and Danette, both. Certainly a good slide presentation and very clear. Thank you. Stephen?
Hi, I'm labeled here as Amy Curley. I don't know why, but
well, it looks like you. There you go.
There I am. Yes, right. Just take a moment of your time, Madam Chair, to say that we are poised in the starting blocks for summer, and anything that is thrown at us for fall. Faculty have been meeting with program directors and associate deans to come up with a variety of options. Instead of calling it online instruction, we're going with the label of remote, which might mean that a class of 20, and that wouldn't happen because the social distancing might be split in half. 10 would meet on Monday, the other 10 would be meet on Wednesday. The rest would be through Zoom or some online components. So depending on where we are when we get to the 1st of August, will dictate how we deliver this education. Of course, we hope that we can get as many students on campuses as possible. The labs are going to be opened with social distancing in the next couple of weeks to finish off the incompletes that students have in the science and mostly in the CTE labs, and we're ready for summer.
And thank you for joining in with that. And I know, Stacy, we're going on with your event, but before we do, I would like to make sure each board member, if they have anything to say, has anything to say about parts A and B, since we're not in person where we can do that. Judy, anything to throw in there?
No, because I have so many student teachers in California and here and everywhere, there is a major focus on hybrid instruction. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work.
Right.
So am I.
So is everyone. Ashley, anything from you? Ashley? Vance? Susan?
They must all be muted.
Yeah, did I just hear Ashley jump in?
Okay.
No, I do have something. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has worked so hard in all of this COVID-19 response from the college. And I also want to say I empathize completely with the residents and possible students from Kingman and anywhere else who absolutely hate the face mask thing, but it's a CDC recommendation. I empathize with you all, and I know the college is doing its very best.
All right. Ashley, anything from you? Nope. And Vance?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
No,
kind of
ma'am.
awkward. Yes. Do I hear you?
I said no.
Okay, thank you so much. It's awkward when I can't see you, so I don't know if you're hoping to say something, and I don't want to close anybody out. All right, now we're going to go to the strategic plan. Dr. Klippenstein, thank you for your patience.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. And thank you all for the comments. And again, thanks to the group working on the pandemic response. One comment I will make before we move on to the strategic plan is of course, we're monitoring everything closely almost daily or by the hour, especially with phase 3 and 4. So once we get into May, June, July to see where everything's at, cases in Mohave County especially, and again, following any guidelines that are being shared. We really do hope that we can have a better fall plan sooner than later about exactly what we wish to do. But right now we're still in a holding pattern, but at least we're preparing, which is what's key with various different options. So again, it's kudos to the group. We are now moving on to the strategic planning portion. As you know, well, of course, you know, over the past 9 months or 7 months, whatever it's been, we've been working a lot on this. And again, thanks to everybody behind the scenes who has done such a great job. Since our last meeting, we have completed a student survey to continue to collect feedback on both the vision and mission statement. Those have been reviewed. There's actually been a little bit of tweaking that has been done based on continued feedback. A lot of work has been done on the objectives, which will be shared today. And there still is more work to do on action planning, still tweaking based on your feedback and others' feedback, but we hope to have a first reading today and then move forward with an approval and second reading here in June. Sean and Laurel have prepared a presentation for today to share with you, so you at least have a good snapshot. Of course, anytime you have questions between now and the June meeting, you can always contact me. I'll make sure I get the right answers. If you have input you wish to share, you can always get a hold of me as well, or Sean or Laurel. and we'll make sure that that input is put in place. So right now, I will forward it on to Sean, I think, or Laurel. I can't remember who was starting. So whoever would like.
I think it's me. Sean and I rolled the dice, and I rolled number one.
And you won. You won.
But yes, Madam President and the board, we're excited. I did count on my fingers. It has been 9 months since we started discussing things on all staff day. So I do feel a little bit like we've got a baby here, and like any sort of baby, it's been a lot of creative development to get here, but it's just the beginning. So as we introduce the strategic planning document, thank you for your feedback, for the community's feedback, for its excitement in terms of a fruition of faculty work, staff work, community work, student work. There's so much has gone into this document. And so what we've created, hopefully, is something that helps us reach the attainment goals for Arizona. Positioning students to be successful, encouraging them and involving them in their community and the community engagement, as well as serving our community, and then right-sizing our organization so that we can have the infrastructure to support this. So, Sean?
I believe it was Justin who, at the very beginning of this process, talked about the importance of the journey as well as the destination, and it's certainly been true for us. Our 9-month journey has involved collaboration with hundreds of people, community members, business partners, government partners, students, staff, and faculty. And so there's a sense of pride when we say that the words in the strategic plan directly reflect their collective aspirations and wisdom. And it's important for us to remember that the plan is really about action, but it goes beyond words and measures. In order to move the metrics that you have in your packet, we know that we have to move people in their hearts and in their commitment to the goals. So the strategic plan story is everyone's story.
And the story begins with a vision. And beginning with discussions with you, our honored trustees, this process has been a long and iterative process where we've talked with a variety of stakeholders. We've polled students, we've polled community members, and the words we have reached in front of you honor the feedback of all those people involved. And it speaks to both the individual, improving the individual's lives, as well as the community, because isn't community our middle name, Mohave Community College? And bridging that possibility to purpose and prosperity. In the community gallery sessions, it was very interesting to see the really positive response to these words and how people felt it was something that could inspire us. And when we talk about possibility, we're talking about K-12, we're talking about adult learners, we're talking about our underserved population, communities, we're talking about businesses, Mohave County. Education bridges that gap between potential and achievement. And our goal should be guided by this vision. Greater capacity means increased likelihood of satisfying individual life experience as well as creating prosperous communities. And Sean?
So there was a huge degree of consensus about who we are throughout the whole process. And that was actually, it was nice for Laurel and I. So many different groups provided feedback in an ongoing series of proposals, and whether it was community gallery sessions or employee group discussions or surveys or the final student survey, the responses to the proposed mission statement were extremely positive. Even the students, although responses were limited, 85% of the students demonstrated tremendously positive responses about both the mission and vision statements. So the strategies that evolved focus on student access, community partnerships, student success, and an underlying strategy that has to do with the foundations to make those things possible. And the document that is provided in your package includes much more detail on measures of achievement. The objectives that you see here flowed from collective feedback received throughout the process. SCAN teams immersed themselves in more data following the Future Summit, and they presented their work to the strategic planning team. Even now, we've got our IR specialists, Matt Butcher and Shelley Castaneda, busy providing data to even more fully develop our planning. The data provided in your document helps provide a sense of context, but doesn't represent the totality of the evidence used. It's actually really amazing how much data is out there. And we're dedicated to moving forward on our journey to being a fully data-informed organization. Especially during year 0, we will work to create the data collection and representation systems that will enable us to continue tracking our progress. So it's easy to be distracted by the amount of information we're putting on the screen. I know it's lots of words. So I've taken the liberty of underlining some of the key words. It's interesting, by the way, to know that we continue to adjust as we go, and we even got some feedback just this last week from trustees, and that is incorporated now into the plan. So strategy 1, it's all about access. To that end, MCC is committed to increase the overall college going rate in the county. We're going to focus on expanding access to populations that are traditionally underserved. Certainly in our area, the Hispanic population is significant, it's growing, and we know that we need to meet their needs and pay attention specifically to them. Veterans is a group that is a member of this underserved population, and we are paying attention, and we will continue to pay attention. The third objective under strategy 1 is we will strive to increase opportunity for learners and programs that lead to industry recognized credentials. And a new part of our world is that may be credit, it may be non-credit. Fourth, we recognize the importance of expanding prospects for high school learners. And then finally, we recognize that the status quo of student aid has to adapt with changing circumstances. The second strategic pillar, 2nd to 4, is about MCC integration with our regional community and addressing real workforce needs and synergizing through enhanced partnerships. We have to find ways to increase the college readiness of our Mohave County populations. That's a priority. And we know that to do that, it's going to take a lot of work with our K-12 partners. We know that providing experiential, real-world learning opportunities is critical to prepare our students for the careers and their post-college life. And providing those types of experiences, again, requires strong partnerships. Enhancing our responsiveness to communities and partners is certainly a goal that was reinforced repeatedly throughout the strategic planning process. So I think that's almost larger than an objective. We heard that a lot. Similarly, we clearly heard our students when they asked us to make sure that we deliver flexible learning opportunities that were designed to meet their needs. So students, we hear you, and we're going to work towards that, continue to work towards that. Finally, we know that teaching and learning in the future will require new paradigms, new skills. It's not what it was 30 years ago. And we acknowledge that those ongoing changes, and we're committed to adapting while remaining focused on student achievement.
I had the privilege of being in this work group for strategy 3. So Sean let me talk about it. And what you see on the screen is very succinct and concise. And there was so much more discussion that goes behind these ideas. A lot of these objectives relate directly to what you see in the Achieve 60 Arizona objectives. And what I really like about their kind of overarching statement is that they say education advances everyone. And so that's what this strategy was about, was how do we advance everyone? How do we help students be successful? So the first objective, increasing 2-year credit threshold rates, actually correlates to, again, part of the Arizona's goals. And it also answers what students want. When they come here in the student experience, they want a pathway. They want to know what they're getting into, where they're going. They want not just a list of requirements, but they want the co-curricular aspect. They want to know the internships. They want to be involved in the extracurricular. They want a big guided pathway. And I think there's something really exciting and that's growing out of this objective that you don't necessarily see, but you'll see in the action plans. This very exciting, something unique to Mohave Community College guided pathway concept, something bigger than what the buzzword has become in terms of helping students achieve their goals. So that in that first objective is addressing that. The second objective, once we get them on that path, we want to keep them going on that path. That's the retention idea. The third objective, we want them to finish, and whether that finish is the third objective of a program, or whether they're looking at transferring to attain their bachelor's degree, whether they're getting a certificate, we want to support that. We want that to happen for them. And in order for that to happen, that's the fifth objective, is that we have these support services, this holistic addressing all aspects of their experience at Mohave Community College, from, again, entering into a program, from registration, from orientation, all the way through the activities they do, the service learning, the co-curriculars, the extracurriculars, to reaching their community engagement sort of activities and success, whether that goes on to become a profession, a job, or their next step in their education. And then tell a quick story. There was this house back where I lived in Oregon that was a beautiful, gorgeous house, but they built it on a massive earth flow. And so the earth underneath it was tearing this gorgeous house apart because the foundation they had was not effective. And so this fourth strategy to me is the foundation. We won't see, when we see a student, it's kind of poignant today because we're missing live commencement. When we see a student walk across the stage, that's the fully built house, and that house can't be fully built, successful, and strong without a strong foundation. And so what you see in strategy 4 are things that address that. We have wonderful pockets of excellence in our staff and our faculty and our employees, and having them continue to build that community of professional development is the goal of the first one. That we continue to learn and that we expand those pockets of excellence, so it's not a pocket but an entire institution of excellence in our personal growth and continual learning. The second one sounds, like consistent learning environment, but it's about the software, the tools, the equipment that we have for that learning. We've had a wonderful years of exploring technology, and this is getting that technology out so everybody has that available. The third one, because we are becoming a technological society, as we all know, anybody who's been a victim, cybersecurity is a huge thing, protecting our institution and our students' data. And then putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, that our budget plan aligns with our goals. And then data is huge. There's so much data, but getting quality data, we have great folks in our IR office getting quality data now that will drive our decisions, and I'm excited about it because I'm a stats nerd. So I'm really excited that we are looking at a really strong data governance plan where we look at accessing the data and the integrity of the data. And finally, a facilities master plan that supports the resources we have and addressing not just sustainability and conservation, but also the academic aspect of a facility, what a student needs to be successful. So again, these ideas that support the wonderful house that ends up at graduation walking across the stage.
Thanks, Laurel. Sorry that my dogs wanted to interrupt you there.
It's okay, my kids was walking in the back too.
So, an interesting idea that Justin introduced to us was the idea of stating, in addition to the strategies you've seen, a really audacious goal, a goal that gets your blood flowing and drives action. There's something that when you get up in the morning says, I know what we're trying to accomplish. So we've made a collective commitment towards adopting the Bighorn Intrepid Goal, or the MCC BIG. And if you don't like the name, I bet you know who invented it.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. That's where Sean's going with it. I was ready for that one.
I like it. The MCC BIG aligns with state and national goals, and it really challenges us to do our best. It's going to help us achieve our vision, and we believe that Mohave County will experience some amazing things as we move towards accomplishment of the BIG. So we're really proud of this plan because it represents the efforts of so many people who really dug in and exerted effort. The last couple of weeks, by the way, they've been hard. People showed that they really cared through their efforts, and we just can't say enough thank yous. So here's a big thank you to those folks. And this is a time where if you've got some questions, we'd like to share them with you. I'm also going to share a document that was produced by the great James Jarman, which is a sneak peek at a publication for the strategic plan. And where is that thing? Well,
Da, da, da,
da, da,
da, da, da.
let me keep looking. Any questions while I'm digging through my computer?
I love the fact, as Laura pointed out, that the data is in here. The plan that we see is much larger than what we're seeing on screen. And I love the idea of a big goal, but I can't find it in that packet. Maybe I just haven't scrolled down far enough. That very last slide you had, did it get sent to us?
Julie, you scroll ahead. It's before the strategies on my.
Okay. Okay. And now
Stuff.
that we have you, Susan, any comments or questions? I'll call on
Yes,
you.
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to everyone. And this is such a huge project, and everybody has worked together so well under, at the end, horrible conditions where you couldn't get together and meet and talk about things. And then because I'm not a data geek, what does rolling mean enrollment mean? I have no idea what that is.
I think the math teacher should answer that one.
Would you repeat your question? What does what mean, Susan? I missed your actual verb.
Rolling enrollment.
Rolling enrollment?
Yeah, rolling mean enrollment.
Rolling new enrollment?
Mean, M-E-A-N.
Oh, mean.
Rolling mean enrollment.
Rolling mean enrollment.
Strategy 1.3.
Rolling mean, all right.
Rolling mean, we were looking at the data, and some of our data we had was, I want to say it was 3 or 5 years. Sean might remember how many years
Yes.
it was. And we were trying to decide what was a realistic as well as ambitious goal based on where we already were, kind of our baseline data. And so it was one of those cases, kind of like, shall I say, like the stock market, you know, where things go up and down. So rather than saying we're going to take the last data point we're at and increase by a certain chunk, we looked at, well, let's look at a rolling mean. Let's look at an average over time and predict from that average, if that makes sense.
In higher education, they use that quite a bit for funding formulas for colleges and universities, is a rolling average, a 5-year rolling average, a 3-year rolling average, which is something in a way similar to what the state does with the expenditure limitation issue.
So it's a dynamic number, not a static number, Susan, not a snapshot. It's dynamic. It goes over a period of time.
Fabulous, Val. I understand. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the Bighorn thing. It's the very first goal. Thank you. All right, Judy, anything from you?
No, I enjoyed reading the data also, and I was pleased to see that although we want to do much better than what we're doing, we have a really solid chance of doing that. But the big thing by 2030 is everyone. It's a step in the right direction, but it's intrepid.
Yeah, it's intrepid. Exactly.
It's intrepid.
As Justin would tell us, it's big, hairy, audacious goal is what it is. So that's exactly
like
10 years.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Way behind Achieve 60, because they send out a lot of stuff, which I've been keeping up with. And this kind of goes over the top, but that's great. Ashley, anything from you, my fellow trustee?
Well, I think it's worth just reiterating the appreciation. This has been well done in a very thorough process, and I appreciate your summary and your presentation, Laurel and Sean. So I did, and I also appreciate the data. With the first draft that I reviewed earlier this week didn't include the data that is now provided in our meeting documents. So I look forward to going through that a little bit more. And I did wonder if the data was used in the decision-making process when determining these strategies, or was it brought in now more recently to determine the baseline measures? That's one of my questions. And then I have another one for you.
It was present at all times, but it was a continuously evolving situation. So we would recognize, well, that data doesn't really answer the objective fully. We'll go out and dig some more up. And then sometimes the objective itself would change. We're like, well, now the evidence that we've collected is off base. So we've kept Matt and Shelley really busy as we changed our minds and evolved. So data has been continuously present throughout the development of these objectives and measures.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize if you can hear my children yelling.
No, we did. It wouldn't bother us. That's what we're
Okay.
here for.
Okay, that's good to hear. My second, I think is more maybe I'm interested in hearing my fellow trustees' reactions. I appreciate the big goal. I paused when reading it. To say everyone is, I'm not sure how I feel about that, and we're less than 10 years away from 2030. Everyone is children, adults, seniors. So I'm curious about other reactions, and I've heard a few.
My reaction would be that Justin is wonderful and he's done a wonderful job with us. But I think Sean mentioned at the beginning that Justin encouraged us to set a big goal. And whether it's a numerical goal, which I guess this would be 100%ers, I don't think it reads well. Personally, that's my personal opinion. Nor does it make a lot of sense. I love to dream and I love to have vision, but I think that may be, what did you call it? Audacious? What was your word, Sean?
Yeah, big, intrepid, audacious, and hairy.
Yeah.
Big, hairy, audacious goal.
Big, hairy, audacious.
They sometimes call it the BHAG, so to speak. And that just didn't sound too kind at all. So I appreciate Dr. Krippenstein's marketing expertise, so to speak. And certainly this is the kind of feedback we would appreciate hearing as we think about the big. One of the things that we often will say to clients about kind of the big, hairy, audacious goal is it is okay that it's not 100% achievable. What is intended to do is to really get people to really think about going the distance. So what would it take for you to go the distance? If that means, if you think about this being the end zone, having something like a big, hairy, audacious goal allows the institution and allows the institution to stretch itself in some way. So if what your expectation is that you were only going to get 30% of the way there, the big, hairy, audacious goal is really meant to push the institution, because if you get 50% of the way there or 60% of the way there, then that's ultimately what it's intended to do, is to really inspire people, inspire the college to get to a place to say, if we thought about the kind of plan that we really want to have, you could have, let's say, for example, you could have two plans. You'd have a plan to lose 5 pounds. I often think about this in terms of losing weight, which I'm definitely needing to do during quarantine. Is you could have a plan for 5 pounds, and you could have a plan for 50 pounds. And they require very different things sometimes. And so kind of having this BHAG where you're beginning with the end in mind lets you know that the plan that you're ultimately on path to achieving is the 50-pound plan, so to speak. And a lot of times what happens is people not having that kind of intrepid, big, scary goal, people often are working with the assumption that they're working on the 5-pound plan. And so it helps put in front of them this idea that they're working toward the 50-pound plan, so to speak. So that's just to give a little bit of context. That's certainly not to suggest in any way that there's opportunity for revision and to think it. but at least that it's set itself up to be that inspirational kind of 50-pound plan goal.
Justin?
Susan will come right back to you, okay? I'm sorry, I just hollered up to Vance. You might be there. I might be hoping to speak. Vance, anything from you? Thank you.
You know, when you read that word everyone, that's kind of big. But I appreciate what has been said. I like an inspired goal that kind of encourages everybody to, you know, get on board. And the idea is we need to move that needle. And I'm not opposed to seeing everyone in that big statement. But, you know, the realization is like somebody tells you that, hey, I do something all the time. Well, no, we do something some of the time and most of the time, but I've never seen anybody do anything all the time. And I don't know how you get everyone to do things, but I'm a dreamer, so I'm okay with it.
Okay, back to you, Susan. Thank you for your comment, Vance, and Susan, thank you for being patient.
You're welcome. I agree with Ashley that it's a little bit of a mouthful to read. And I am uberly sensitive living in Kingman to anybody saying everyone. I don't know, everybody I know in Kingman would resent being told you will. So I'd like to see the wording change a little bit. I agree with what Justin is saying. I think it's a fabulous objective. But in this culture right now particularly, I would hate to step on anybody's toe and have somebody back up a little bit because of a word.
All right, Judith? Dr. Judy?
No, I don't have a problem with intrepid, audacious goals, because I know that goals are often designed not to be reachable, but to be aspirational. So, I mean, I don't know what to do about people who have a problem with, you know, everyone. I mean, if we were saying everyone has to get a measles shot, then I would maybe have a problem, but everyone getting an education, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I would go to war over. I like big. I like big. But I mean, if you wanted to change it to some age-wise or adult or, but you know, I don't know. I mean, it's not a big issue to me. I like the mission, I like the vision, and I like the strategies. And so a big goal is a big goal.
I like the scope. I like everything it says, except I don't think it needs to say with no or some post-secondary education, but no degree. I think that's a mouthful. What if you said everyone in Mohave County will receive a credential, certificate, or degree? I mean, no or some, that's like redundant to me, just to me. You're trying to make it concise, and then we put all this verbiage in here that doesn't say anything. I mean, that's my concern. Ashley, back to you.
Yeah, I think I appreciate discussion on this. I think I would want someone to read this big goal. It's the very first statement in our strategic plan. And when they see it, I would want everyone to feel inspired and supportive and not roll their eyes at it. So I do think that a statement like this can solicit both responses.
Good comment. About everyone will have opportunity to receive a credential, certificate, or degree by the year 2030, or access, or you know, some other concept that makes sure everyone knows that it's open, that opportunity is there for you. We want you. You know, there's nobody being excluded. I'm just throwing that out there to maybe balance what Ashley says. Like I say, I don't like the with no or some post-secondary education but no degree. That's too much for me, personally. So,
great feedback. Thank you very much. We will take that back, and we'll see something something new and shiny in the future.
And certainly, Justin, we appreciate, certainly Sean and Laurel, but most of all, we appreciate your guidance. Again, each time we hear from you, we know that you are the person that knows about writing these sorts of strategic plans, and we're glad you're aboard. Thank you.
Well,
anything else from any board member? I'm looking at the screen. I don't see any.
Me, Susan, I just wanted to say thank you again to everybody. And you know what, Julie, I kind of liked your last comment. It needs something, you know, encouraged, will be available, whatever, but something in there that would
But that's
broaden
not
it and
measurable. That's not measurable. You know,
say,
so
you can make it measurable.
Well,
you can make it available to.
Encouraged is not, but you know, you might be right about the with no or some post-secondary education will receive, you know, will be, I will receive some a certificate or a bachelor degree or a, you know, those are important. So you might be able to shorten it a bit, but I like the big idea.
Now in June, are we looking for second reading and adoption? Is that correct? Dr. Stacy, Sean, Justin, Laurel?
Yes, that's the idea, is to come back in June, correct?
Okay. So Dr. Stacy, I think that's your voice I hear. So I would say that obviously there's, you've heard from 5 of us, you see where we all are, and something that does or doesn't address those, and then if it comes up for adoption, it would be sad that one little part didn't work, but I don't have the problem. Go ahead, Susan.
I had a question as everybody was talking. When we think about this, and then we think about adult education programs or non-credit programs, would they then fit in under this goal as receiving a credential, a certificate? I mean, everybody who went through a adult education program would get a certificate?
I believe the word credential is the most universal of those.
Repeat, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. I believe the word credential is a universal term that would incorporate all of those subcategories just mentioned.
Such as?
Okay, but the plan would be if I enrolled in an adult education program, I would get some sort of recognition that would be included in the data for this goal.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do you have enough feedback, Sean and everybody?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Well, we want to thank you once again. It's a wonderful product. And other than that one little blip, which I'm glad Ashley brought up because we all heard it differently. And we all 5 had opinions, and that's great to get those. But certainly a beautiful product, and all the back story there that's been presented is so helpful, and hopefully we'll all have time to spend more time digging in the areas that are of interest to us.
Thank you very much.
Justin, thank you very much. Again, Justin, thank you so much for joining us from Burbank, I guess, and have a safe trip home. You are there.
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to reiterate what you said, President Baird, just in terms, or Chair, in
Julie.
terms of, Julie, in terms of really recognizing the wonderful work that the entire college community has done. And it has been a shared effort among everyone. And through it all, this really, as Sean said, has been a journey, and the journey has just begun. And so we're excited to see what the years bring you as part of this plan.
And you'll be tuning in from time to time to see, won't you?
I will.
Well, keep us on your friends list. Thanks. Stacy, back to you, I think.
Yeah, thanks again, Laurel and Sean, for presenting that information today. And I like what Laurel said about really how everything builds up to, in a way, how strategy number 4 reads in regards to building the foundation. I liked her house metaphor that she used. I think it painted a nice picture that the way I look at it is strategy 1 and 2 really does a good job in building both our student base through enrollment for all, as well as our community partnership base. That leads into 3, which is about helping our students once they come in succeed. And the only way to do that is through both community partnerships and our own internal work, and then utilizing strategy number 4 with building the right foundation to make sure it all works. Again, that's what I like about the strategies 1 through 4, and the objectives I think hit and really build, or will help us build, some really solid action plans that will be adaptable on an annual basis to help us achieve our desired key performance metrics as we move forward. So thanks for all the feedback. One thing I wanted to share, D, is just a couple quick items. As you know, the legislature is closed as of now, and we are waiting word on when a special session may come back. We just don't know what that special session will look like from a financial allocation standpoint, but right now, and I think Sunny has already provided you information, but it does look like at least the skinny budget has been passed. The AC4 group will meet in 2 weeks. We'll talk about COVID-19 response, how the community college districts are dealing with it across the state, and also take a look at new Title IX changes that came out from the Department of Ed and Secretary DeVos in regards to new regulations and how do we deal with and conduct Title IX hearings. There's some major changes within that Danette and others have already begun to receive training on and will review, both for handbook and policies procedural changes going into next fall. I think everything has to be implemented by August 14th. So a lot of work, and we'll try to provide you more updates on what that could look like in the future. But I wanted to try to find out from the AC4 group of how the Title IX changes are impacting them, as well as a possible consortium on hearing officers that can be better trained and better deal with the new regulations. Also in the JLBC report, if you look, really the 2 big things is that starting in March, we're down about 6.1% in the revenue. Of course, April will be a big hit, and you started to see some of the movement in the unemployment rates going up. So I would imagine next month's report, you'll see a lot more information in how unemployment rates across Arizona is looking. We'll try to bring some data on what's going on in Mohave County, which obviously all have an impact on the community college. So that is it for me. No other current events other than today, 3 o'clock. Don't forget, yay, commencement. So I'm looking forward to that recognition ceremony. And I will now pass it over to Student Services if there's no other questions.
Just thinking back to last year when we first had you come visit, or you chose to come visit after you'd been named as president, and remembering where the 5 of us were in the event center, and you entered and waved at everybody, and all the people in the bleachers, the staff members were so enthusiastic. And I picture that, and then I picture today with you on video, and I just think, wow, what a year it's been for you.
And a fun year.
Yeah, well, we're
I'm good. Julie?
Susan.
It's Susan. I need to bring you back to Strategic Plan C. Did we miss a motion to approve that plan as presented?
No,
or did that change?
That's just first reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it came out of the draft that I'm looking at for the agenda had a motion there. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, fine. And then in June, we will be voting. That'll be second reading voting. So if there's a portion of it that you don't agree with, then that's up to you to decide to support it or not. Each vote, there'll be 5 of us, and they've heard enough from us to get an idea of what we would be comfortable with. And many of us do embrace a very large, big goal. And so that'll go from there. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Nana, thank you for waiting. I wanted to make sure I got that in. Ready.
No problem. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Klippenstein. Happy commencement day. I do have to commend James really quickly and his team because I still got goosebumps, even with the small clip that he showed. So I'm really looking forward to the 3 o'clock today to be able to see all that they've done. I think they've done a great job. Specifically in talking about enrollment, really good news actually, and I want to take a moment to commend our students, staff, and faculty, because everybody seems to be working together really well. So it's excited to see that we can continue the progression to everybody achieving their career goals. On Wednesday this week, with the report that you received, you see that we were about 7,900 credits as of Wednesday. This morning, late morning, when I pulled numbers, we're actually at 8,237 credits for summer. So we've added an additional 200 to 300 credits, which is amazing. We will have our drop for non-payment on Sunday. But with that said, right now, the business office was kind enough to give me a sneak peek. We have about 600 credits that are unpaid for. And typically we still have a last minute rush with people signing up for payment plan, a few other processing things we go through. And so summer enrollment is looking really good. Dr. Klippenstein and I did go through a 3-year trends regarding summer enrollment. We've been able to grow every year considering COVID-19 and some of the other things we've had to deal with. Both of us were in agreement that we would be lucky to maintain. With these numbers right now, it's possible for us to show still that we've grown a little bit for this summer again. Nothing will be official until we get the first week of school underneath our belt for the summer session, but it's nice to see that students have responded so positively, and staff and faculty have been able to work with students really, really well.
Thank you.
For fall, we were at, you see that we were at about 7,200 credits as of Wednesday. This morning we were at about 7,500. So still growing, but slowly. The slow growth is pretty typical this time of year because students are still finishing up their classes, obviously today, with everything kind of closing up. Typically we see really the increase starting in July going into August as well. We've had a lot of outreach efforts going on. Students have been very complimentary regarding our outreach efforts, but they have also expressed that they have talked to so many people from MCC that we have slowed some of our outreach, specifically regarding recruitment of our current students to allow them to finish up. So we'll continue to work on fall enrollment and make sure everybody's staying on track as we get spring wrapped up and moving into fall. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions? Ashley, Susan, Vance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Judy isn't muted, so I know she'll speak out if she has a question, but I'm looking at those little microphones trying to make sure. Okay, no questions. Well, Anna, thank you for your enthusiasm and your report.
Sounds good. Take care. Thank you.
You too.
Madam Chair, if I may, just before Anna is done, I want to compliment the crew. I mean, you take a look at summer where we're at, that's incredible. And that speaks volumes to our staff behind the scenes and our faculty. I do want to say that as although summer is tracking, or excuse me, fall is tracking a little bit behind, there's a lot of good conversations our recruiters are still having with various folks. And you know, what we're hearing right now is kind of, I'm calling it still the COVID echo, where people just don't know where they're at for fall yet. They know we're here. And I think that we will be seen as a very viable source. Of course, it will depend on unemployment or employment. It will depend on whether or not you have some high school graduating seniors and parents who are saying, maybe I don't want to go down to U of A, maybe I want to hold back for a semester or two. So we're going to really watch this as we go. And I think we'll see some of those numbers creep back up. But our recruiters and Ann and her team have done a great job with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, we're looking at Miss Marbury, Miss Sunny.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Klippenstein. I believe on this piece, Dr. Klippenstein wanted to give us a little intro first.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I wanted to just share, this has been an item I think we provided information from Mark about 3 or 4 months ago. We started to at least inform you that we were moving forward with at least an RFP, trying to figure out how to do or be able to present to you information on how do we best secure our buildings, our assets, and any new assets in the future, as well as be able to have a better sustainable utilities or monitoring of our systems And we wanted to make sure that we provided the best security as well. And so Mark and his crew have been really diligently taking a look at all the information on the camera system, as well as the Gray network. So we can actually do a little bit more wireless and better monitoring, but it's also secure. And so what you have presented to you today is kind of a compilation of all of that information being gathered through the RFP process and the people we wanted to move forward with. Initially, we were looking at about, I think we budgeted, and I'll look at Sunny, it's about $550,000, I think initially we were looking at. As you'll see today, it's much less than that, but it's also with companies that at least we've worked with before and we're very knowledgeable with, as well as they're providing us a good product. So I will pass it off to Mark right now. I think he might have just a few bits of information, and then we'll move it for you, back to you for approval.
Thank you. Good morning, Mark, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, Madam Chair, members of the board? So today we bring to you the end result of a very long process with the RFP. I'd like in particular to make notice of the work that Rob Bonner put in on this. He is our security person, and in terms of getting this together, getting all of the people in the right places, getting all the vendors to all of the campuses to do walkthroughs, Herding Cats has nothing on the job that he did. And at the end of it, we wound up with a bunch of great proposals, and one of the best, or the best, was from Alarm Tech, which is a company that currently does our security and our fire alarm systems. All of this ties into what we have. And as we build out the infrastructure with the additional fiber, not only are we going to bring these cameras online, but this gives our facilities team the opportunity to start using more tools that we can automate, that we can do things like begin managing sprinkler systems and thermostats and things like that from smartphones and cell phones and tablets. Which reduces the amount of labor that they have to do some of their tasks. If they can reprogram all of the sprinkler heads from a phone instead of sending somebody around to do it every couple of weeks to every single sprinkler head, we help them out. So all of this together is going to increase what we can do for the college, how we can monitor the college, and how we can keep our assets safe. And make sure that we're taking care of the things that are entrusted to us by the public.
Thank you. So we're back over to the information. You've read the packet. We're looking for a motion.
Motion to approve Alarm Tech as the vendor for RFP 02-1920 security camera system at a cost of $162,493.97 plus monthly fees, and to utilize Alpine Communications as a sole source vendor for the fiber upgrades not to exceed $147,000, including a 5% contingency.
I'll second. And that was who? Vance, was that you?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. Any comments or discussion? Susan, did you have a comment or
Yes,
question?
I have a question. It wasn't clear to me whether this RFP included off-site buildings like our Detroit Ave Center and any other off-site buildings that we happen to have?
This is Mark. No, it does not include Detroit Ave or the new building that we're looking at downtown. Detroit already has some cameras that we can pull into this system and monitor remotely. However, if we want to expand the system to the new building downtown or any other location, it's very, very simple to do so, which is one of the appeals of this system.
Okay, and then the other question I have was about the limited lifetime warranty was offered through the company or the manufacturer?
It's offered through the Alarm Tech company. And so after the manufacturer warranty, which is 2 years, expires, their limited lifetime warranty comes into effect. And what that boils down to is if we have a piece of equipment die because of a manufacturing defect or something along those lines, they will come out, and if it's a single piece of equipment, it'll be a service charge. They'll replace the piece of equipment. So they'll charge us $50 to replace a $300 camera, which I'm fine with. And then now if we break it, then it's on us. But the limited lifetime warranty covers kind of all of the stuff that'll be out in the weather and in places where things can go wrong, versus the switches and things which are in, you know, locked closets and surge protected and everything. So we have their systems currently on campus. We've never had a problem with their warranty service at all. This is a very good company that we're very comfortable working with.
Okay, my assumption is that you've checked the references that were included in the package?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to tie in the Detroit Ave building as part of this?
Yes, it will be monitored as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion, Selberg, and a second, Miller. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and appreciate Mark with all the work behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all.
And if I can, Madam Chair, I'd like to just introduce the 2021 budget development overview. I just asked Sunny to kind of prep and start to prepare for our presentation, obviously in June with the budget hearing, and just sharing some snippets of information, kind of what we know right now, at least what we're following, and in preparation of the CCD documents that needs to be moved forward and brought to you as well. I just want to use this moment. If you had a chance to be on the call or the forum on Wednesday night, you would have witnessed excellence. And Sunny's probably laughing at me right now, but it was very well done. I think it really answered a lot of questions on taxation and how it works with how it's applied to us here at Mohave Community College. And I just want to say thanks again to Sunny. And within that presentation, she did provide a little bit of a snippet of some of this information, but I just wanted to make sure it was recognized and the work that Sunny has done to help educate our communities as well as our faculty and staff on that important issue. So thank you, Sunny. I'll pass it off to her now.
Well, now that you've stolen what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Well, you could say it again. She deserves double kudos.
I was going to wait till she was through with her presentation and then tell her. So we go on with Sunny. Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you all so much. After my presentation, which I was very nervous for, someone told me that other people don't find my topic interesting usually. So I found that very odd.
Very interesting.
Some of you have seen some of these slides a little bit. If you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide. Right now with the COVID crisis, we are monitoring and changing things probably every hour of the day. It's a very interesting experience to go through. And I think most importantly right now is for us to move forward and make decisions on the things that we know for sure. And so I start with the levy because we know for sure that our collections will be most likely what the county has projected, and we'll get darn close to it. There's always a percentage of taxpayers that aren't able to meet their commitments, but we'll get darn close. And the board has chosen not to hold a TNT hearing and raise the 2% levy. So you'll see the picture in front of you now. It's a little odd, but with this topic, I've chosen to use my own property because it's such a weird topic to get your hands on. And so my house is got an assessed value of $195,552. And so I wanted to show you at the bottom what the difference is from year to year. So this current year that we're sitting in right now, the levy rate was 1.3255, which means I, as a taxpayer, gave the college $259.29 or 20 cents this year. Next year, because the board chose not to raise taxes, the levy rate will actually decrease to 1.2883, which means I'll pay to the college $251.93. Again, as I said in the session, I sincerely would encourage people to reach out to me and we can really work real world examples if they want to. I think it's interesting. So next slide, please. Here's the other thing we know, and you saw it a little bit last month, but that's the state of Arizona's skinny budget. We call it the skinny budget because when the stay-at-home order was put in place, the legislature wanted to get that budget done really, really quick. And so we call it the skinny budget because it wasn't quite didn't have the fanfare that it usually has. In January, we thought we were getting about a little over $2 million, so that first column. After the skinny budget was passed, we realized that we got the 1.58 million. So that's a difference of a little over $500,000 that we're going to see in revenue next year. If you go to the next slide, please. Here's the other thing we know for sure, partly, is we know that the board chose not to raise tuition for the students. You have been incredible at making sure the students can have access to an education as easily as possible. And so the tuition rate has not changed for next year either. When I say partly of what we know, we don't know enrollment yet. And MCC is constantly monitoring what we're offering and what we call the fill rate to see how quickly students are enrolling and things like that. So next slide, please. Here's what else we know. On the expense side, the board has been very careful to make sure that we reduce and make sure the overhead is the most efficient as possible. You can see in that 10-year history that institutional support, which is my office, it's HR, it's Mark's office. So the people that aren't touching students directly every day, we're making that lean and efficient. And we're trying to reallocate those dollars into instruction, straight into the classroom so that the students see and feel what's going on. Next slide, please. And now here's what you're going to see next year. And I wanted to give you a little preview of all the things that I consider interesting. But these are clips that you will see in the newspaper, run in the ads for all of the public to see before the budget hearing. All of these little pictures in these slides are from last year's budget. And it's what we call the CCD forms. The state puts out forms that the community college districts must use to publish our budgets each year so that everyone can understand. The first page is what us accountants call Schedule A, and it's the summary page, and I want you to understand what you're going to see. In part of it, you can see what personnel costs, and I think that's really important because that's really our largest asset, and it's where the bulk of our budget goes. And what you can see in that first column is the proposed budget. Now, again, this was all from last year. So the first column was the proposed, the next column was the prior year, and then the difference and the percentage of that difference. This year, from what we've been calculating and the compensation package you approved, it looks like the healthcare costs are the big growth area for us. It's a national trend. It won't be surprising, and that's what you'll see. But this form and this section allows you to compare each government unit to each other because everyone does this. Your county, your city, you'll see these forms for everybody. If you go to the next slide for me. Here's another part of the Schedule A, so that first summary page that you'll see. And this talks about costs per FTSE. FTSE is your full-time student equivalent. So it wants you to start to look at what it costs to educate each student. And some of the story is told and some of it's not, because they're only highlighting 2 funds, and we really have 5 funds to start to spend and play with, for lack of a better term. But I think most importantly is it excludes what we call the restricted fund, which for our college has been about $12 million a year. So when you hit this line, I would always encourage you to look further and go to the next couple of forms. If you go to the next line. And then here's what we just visited with the levy. And the presentation talked about pies and things like that. So I'll try to limit that reference. But you can see from the top part where it talks a primary tax levy, you can see that that amount has gone up, and that's the size of the pie you get to collect. And interestingly enough, last year, even though we went ahead and exercised that 2% increase, it came out as a 4.1% increase because of new construction. So in a good economy, you'll see that grow faster than what you may have thought. And then the second line, I refer to in the workshop as farmers. So it's each of the households. The levy rate that each person is paying is going down because there's more of us to share the tax burden. And those are the slides I have for you today. I don't know if there are any questions on that, but we're really monitoring that budget as quickly as possible and trying to get results to you while still honoring the intent that the board has had.
Right. Well, Sunny, I do again want to thank you for that. I'm sorry I lost my agenda. I'll be right there. But I appreciate that. We appreciate that. And we certainly appreciate the wonderful presentation that you gave the other evening. And as your Dr. Stacy suggested, it was well done and comfortable and everybody understood it. And this is a wonderful thing that you've added to the process, and we appreciate it. Comments, questions?
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm looking for my.
Thank you, Sunny.
All right.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it.
I know Vance and Ashley listened in, and I listened in, and none of us said anything, of course. And it certainly is a great tool too to have this and to be able to reaffirm with our own selves what we need to know.
Thank you. It's been interesting. I was telling my staff it's difficult. I have to be careful with my pronouns because when I say we, I automatically assume that I mean the taxpayer because I'm a taxpayer, but I will be careful with that. So,
yeah.
So thank you.
Came across like you were very knowledgeable, which you are. It wasn't a surprise, but very confident, but not overly confident. You were very helpful. I think you should be a classroom teacher. In fact, Judy will recruit you.
No, we want her just where she is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my final topic is actually a really good topic right now, and that's my monthly reports. The first report is the cash position report. We did draw down our earnings to fund the purchase of the downtown building, and so we just have the corpus left, or that original amount. I will tell you, I was really excited, and I get excited over strange things, I understand. But in 1 month, we have earnings of $131,000 on that corpus. I didn't know what the COVID crisis would do to the markets. I knew we were in bonds and we were safe, but we are getting a result as well. So just in April, we got $131,000 in earnings. So your investments are doing well. The next slide, well, actually the next 4 slides are the budget to actual report. And we are coming in well under budget this year, which I'm very excited about, especially considering the crisis. And it makes me want to hurry up and, enact the RFP we just talked about so that I can get those expenses into this year versus next year. So we'll be maximizing that as much as possible. But I expect us to be well under budget. With this first slide, you can see that as of this report, 83% of the year was complete, and we were at 70% of our budget. So that's 13 points under our budget, and I'm really proud of that, proud of the college for being able to do that. It's a big deal. Next slide. This one, I'm not sure what's going to happen. These are our primary revenue sources. We'll come back. The COVID crisis did allocate the college $1.9 million from the CARES Act. I will tell you that we've been distributing it to students as quickly as possible so that they can help weather the storm. So I'm not sure how our revenue pictures will play out because we haven't decided where we're putting it into our accounts yet, since it's a big in and out. But it would come out into an account that really isn't recognized in this report, so I'll need to add it so you all can see it come in and out. We are drawing down those funds as we speak. So we will get an extra 1.9 million this year, and it's going straight to the students. Next slide, or just scroll down for me if you would. Yeah, and that was the revenue source. If you can scroll down for me again. Thank you. Expenditures by object, a little bit more. Again, this is something you can be proud of the college for. At 83% of the year, even when we start to look at some different categories, we're still running 13 points under budget. And that is something you all can be very proud of. Those are the reports that I have, and I'm open to any questions you all might have.
All right, let's start with Vance, because I don't see his handsome face up there, so I know he's there by name. Vance, any questions or comments?
No, I just, what if I could, I found what Sunny did the other night riveting, and I wanted to stay for more, but she signed us off, so couldn't. But
close you out, huh?
Every time I listen to an explanation that she gives, it just makes it that much clearer. Great. And very appreciative, because this isn't confusing, but it is. So just say thank you very much for all that you do, Sunny.
Thank you.
Big compliment, Sunny.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, good.
Ashley, anything from you?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Just a lovely smile. Thank you very much. And Susan?
No, but thank you very much, Sunny, and everybody else. We know it's really hard to stick to a budget and try to save money every year and explain all of this. So, Sunny, thank you. You and your team are doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right. And Judy?
Nope, nothing.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Miss Dixon, I think we're ready for you.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. I'm used to saying good morning. Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, President Klippenstein. I have for you a very skinny monthly report from HR for the month ending April 30th, 2020, and a larger vacancy report. We're starting to see the transition between the end of the academic year and our prep for the next year. So we have some people leaving us, and we're filling new positions that we're going to be having in the 2021 year. And we've started working on that, but as of right now, we're holding strong and moving forward.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ready for a motion?
Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the Human Resources Report for the month ending April 30th, 2020, as presented in the appendix.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded? Do I hear a second?
Yes, I seconded.
Thank you, Susan. Vance and Susan, any comments or questions? I noticed that there is someone we will be celebrating. She isn't leaving till June 30, and we are having a meeting before then. So the tears won't flow today, but we talked her back once before. I don't think we can talk her back again. So thank you very much, Jan. All right, we will have a motion. We're looking for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And again, that was, any opposed? All right, thanks. And that was Mr. Miller and Ms. McAlpine. Our next meeting will be held Thursday, June 11. They'll be on Friday off schedule. So Thursday, June 11, back at the regular time, and it's scheduled to be held remotely. So we'll see you all then, and have a wonderful month. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be watching the graduation. That's wonderful. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And Dr. Klippenstein, thank you very much. And you do look very dapper in that red jacket.
Don't you like it?
Did you wear that last year when you came to the event center?
No, I bought it when I got here. So the only time I've worn it was at the foundation dinner.
That's where I've seen
Yep.
that red jacket before. So
I only wear it on special occasions, and today is a special occasion.
it is a special occasion. Second wearing instead of second reading. All right. Thank all of you, and bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
Amy,
Thank you, everyone.
and Amy, all your hard work. I know you're the magician behind all this. So thanks a lot.
No worries. Have a good day, everyone. See you at 3 o'clock.
Bye, guys.
Amy,
Stay
I sent
safe.
you an email. So
Yes, I will
Okay.
respond to it right now.
Yeah. All right, honey. Thank you.